Welcome to Patent Shark. You selected to draft a patent application. The invention disclosure you selected is related to baseball bats, and in particular to a baseball bat formed of composite materials. Now, let's get started. In part 1 of this process, you will focus on the drawings and claims. Please start by reading the invention disclosure, or ID. Try to understand what this invention is about. What are the novel features according to the inventor? Look at the drawings submitted by the inventor and see if they make sense to you. Make sure that you understand all the elements that are designated in the drawings. Step 1. Assemble the drawings in an organized manner. Decide which drawings to use of the ones that are provided in the ID or invention disclosure. Decide whether to add further drawings that are not included in the ID. Then, after you selected the drawings that you want to use, label the drawings with figure numbers. For example, figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, etc. Clearly understand what each element of each drawing represents. After reading the ID and reviewing the drawings in detail, then we can go to the claims. The main goal is always to draft a nice set of claims. Start with a general and broad independent claim. Include a claim that defines the invention in broad terms, leaving out any and all unnecessary options. In other words, disclose the very broad and generic version of the invention. Also, if you wish, include another claim that defines the invention with as much specificity and with every option you can think of. In other words, define the highly specified version of the invention. Draft quite a few dependent claims. It is recommended to draft up to 20 claims if you can. We'll discuss how to draft claims in more detail in subsequent slides, so please don't worry. The claim should describe how the various components are structured. The claim should describe how the various components also interact and connect with each other. In other words, when you're drafting a claim, try to link the elements. For example, for the baseball bat, you have 3 main elements. Those are the handle 10, the barrel 50, and the end cap 90. Try to describe the invention in the claims such that the invention is complete. Make sure that the first independent claim captures the novel aspect of the invention. For the baseball bat case, what do you think are the novel aspects? See if you can figure it out. Now, let's move on to the specifics of claim drafting. So, how does one draft a claim? Well, let's break down the claim. In general, an independent claim includes 2 sections, a preamble and a body. The preamble introduces the subject matter of the claim, defines a workpiece, or states a purpose or use of the invention. The body lists the elements of the apparatus or method of the claimed invention. Now, let's go analyze the preamble, which is the first part of the claim. So how does one write the preamble of the claim? The preamble should be written in a manner targeting a patent examining group. In the baseball bat example, we should target a patent examining group that deals with sports, and more particularly with baseball bats. For example, should we go with a baseball bat comprising? Or should we go with, say, an instrument for contacting an object, the instrument comprising? Now, I would recommend going with a baseball bat comprising. If you go too broad, then the patent application may be picked up by a very different examining group, and that's something we don't want. We want to make sure that the baseball bat group examines this case. An instrument for contacting an object can be just about anything. It's just way too broad for this example. So the preamble was simple in this case. Now let's go to the body section of the claims. The body section of the claims has a very specific format. For example, the claims are formatted in a colon, semicolon format. The claims use the linker "and" after the last semicolon. Additionally, note that the first letter of each paragraph remains in lowercase. Let's look at a very specific example in the next slide, and this is going to make much more sense to you. Here is a generic example of a claim. It states A, the title of the preamble, for example in this case a baseball bat, comprising. Now that was the entire preamble. Now let's do the body portion or body section of the claim. List the parts one by one. For the baseball bat, say the handle, the barrel, and the end cap. Then try to connect these three elements. So think about how you're going to do that. This is going to help you with your first assignment. Now before we proceed to a specific example, just a note. There are two types of claims. There are independent claims and there are dependent claims. Independent claims stand alone and do not reference any other claims. Dependent claims, on the other hand, depend from or reference an independent claim or other claims. Now, let's do a very specific example to get a better understanding of this. This sample claim states, a chair comprising, that was the preamble, 4 legs, that's the first element, a seat supported by the 4 legs, that's the second element, the seat, and a back, which is attached to the seat by at least 2 rods. So that's the third element, the back. Note how the elements are connected to each other. For example, the seat is supported by the 4 legs. So the legs and the seat are somehow connected or linked to each other. Let's look at a sample dependent claim. As noted, a dependent claim references another claim. Also keep in mind that dependent claims include all the limitations or features of the independent claim. Let's take a look to get a better understanding of what this means. And let's go back to the chair example. So for the chair example, a dependent claim may look like this. The chair of claim 1, wherein the back is a curved portion, or a curved member maybe. So we define the back in a bit more detail in the dependent claim. So that's all there is to it for dependent claims. Let's look at another example. So instead of a chair, let's look at a shovel. By the way, these are very simple examples that give you an idea of how to approach claim drafting. So let's get to it here. We have a shovel comprising, semicolon or colon, the next line, an elongated handle having a first end and a second end, semicolon, and then the next line, a shovel head, semicolon, and then the next line we have a wherein clause, wherein the shovel head is attached to the first end of the elongated handle. So, note the semicolons, note the indentations, and note that the first letter of each paragraph is lowercase. Good. Now let's also write the dependent claim. The shovel, according to claim 1, comma, wherein the shovel head is substantially oval shape. That's it. That's all there is. That wasn't too bad. Now let's analyze the claims a bit more and provide you with some more pointers to help you out. And let's talk about antecedent basis. Notice that the elements are introduced in the very first instance with either a or an, as is grammatically appropriate here in patent law. Then when you subsequently refer to the element, introduced, you refer to it by either said or the. Thus, the definite term the should not be used with respect to an element until the indefinite term a is previously used in the same claim or a parent claim. So, in the shovel example, the first instance of the shovel head was introduced with a. The second instance of the shovel head, which is located in the wherein clause, was introduced as the. Do you see that? If you see that, then you're on the right track. Now, let's talk about the types of claims that we have. And let's talk about structure versus method. In general, there are two types of subject matter that can be claimed: things and processes. Claims to things are called device, apparatus, composition, and system claims. Now, it depends on the nature of what is being claimed. And claims to processes are called process or method claims. So for the baseball bat invention, focus on the device or apparatus claims. So for example, focus on writing a claim that says a baseball bat comprising. A method of hitting a baseball with a baseball bat would probably not be very valuable in this case. Okay, so these pointers should get you started on drafting claims for the baseball bat invention. So let's summarize a bit. So in other words, let me give you a few more tips. A well-written patent claim takes into account the needs of the inventor vis-a-vis the marketplace. A well-written claim describes all that is inherent in the invention. In most cases, the claim should be written before the specification or the detailed description. The main goal of the claims is to circumvent the prior art. So for the baseball bat ID that you have in front of you, try to draft claims that focus on the novel features to circumvent other baseball bat designs. Let's talk about a few more tips. Consult drawings as you are drafting the claims. As you note, the baseball bat ID provided by the inventor had 7 drawings. Now, the first drawing should provide all the elements for the first independent claim. That's just a general rule of thumb. So select which baseball bat drawing you should designate as Figure 1. Here's a hint. The first independent claim can be a description of the first drawing. Here's one final tip. The best way to go about writing claims is just to start writing it. And then, as you need to add elements to the invention to define even more specific versions or specific elements, check to see if the pieces and parts that are being added have been introduced properly, and whether they result in a description of the version that is complete and describes what you have pictured. Now, let's briefly talk about your very first assignment for the application. Organize the drawings you wish to use. Label the drawings. Now, numerical designations are already provided for you, so this is pretty convenient. Now, draft a set of claims. You can draft, say, up to 3 independent claims, and you can draft up to a total of 20 claims. Now, at least one claim should be an independent claim. For example, a baseball bat comprising all the elements. Now, to conclude, please realize that drafting claims is very difficult, especially in the beginning. And there's a really fine line between too broad and too narrow regions. It can take several years to master writing claims. And there's lots of trial and error that goes into it. So, what the patent sharks would recommend is do not be discouraged, be persistent, and just practice, practice, practice. Write several different independent claims or dependent claims and try it out and see what you can do. Thank you and good luck.